Hey guys, welcome back to Driven Channel. And I'm here with a very special guest and very proud of you. You know, you're Cuban, Puerto Rican, your wife is Colombian. Like, you guys bring the heat.
That's it, man.
And good looking couple, young. You started a company and you were born in Miami?
Born in Hialeah.
And so I want to ask you what's better, Puerto Rico or Cuba? But before I do that, you started a company, a business, and now the business is doing millions of dollars a year. You could talk about that, but what I find very interesting and that it's not that hard to do. And most people, like, they see you, they see me, they see other people, and they're like, man, it's hard to make a lot of money. We were talking earlier before this about how if you're making 20 grand a month, you're a brokey.
100%.
Like, you just cannot afford anything. You can't have a good house. You can't have a good car. You can't go to nice restaurants. It's not enough. But I was telling my wife, Syl, you got to think bigger. But you're an example of somebody that came from nothing, built a business. You have over 60 employees. But you build a very solid business, and one of your clients is Cardone, and among many other big players.
Yeah.
How did you start? How did you start? You're the founder and CEO of The Works cleaning company, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did you start that company? But before you get into the company, how did you start as an entrepreneur? Like, were you born here or Cuba or Puerto Rico? Like, how was your start as a child?
All right. So I've always had that entrepreneurship mentality. I knew that I was going to be somebody. I always knew it.
Why do you think?
Why do I think?
Yeah.
It's an intuition that somebody has. You have that intuition. You're born with it or you're not. You know, that's the way I see it.
But you're talking about when you were like what, 6 or 5 or
13 years old.
13 years old.
13 years old. I started washing cars at 13. And from there I saw how the business ran, and I started washing cars on the side. So I left the car wash where I was at and started washing cars on the side, charging more money. I was washing them at my house.
Yeah.
I would take the products from the car wash, take it home and start, so it was like just labor.
Yeah. And what made you want to do that? Like,
I've always been surrounded by older people. I've always been surrounded by a lot of guys that are a lot older than me, and you tend to grasp certain things. You try to stay away from the bad, but you want to grasp certain good things. And most of them, they're always hustling. You know. You grow up and men are supposed to hustle. Yeah. You're supposed to be hustling. So trying to get that dollar, and it was just something that would just it triggered something in me, and I said, you know what, this is where I have to. And
your parents came. So your parents met in Cuba or Puerto Rico? Or
no. My dad was born in Jersey, Hoboken, Jersey, back in the 60s. Not the Hoboken now, because Hoboken now is like Little Manhattan.
Yeah.
But in Jersey, Hoboken, and my mom was born in Cuba. And during the 80s, durante el Mariel, she came over and she landed in a factory. And she worked in that factory for 35 years. And that's where she met my dad. They're not together, obviously. My mom had passed away a year ago. So that was a big motivation for me to pursue what I want to do.
Yeah. Well, I want to touch on that if you don't mind. But before that, so right now your dad's
my dad is my right-hand man in the business. Yeah. One of the right-hand mans, because my brother's also. I have a solid team. team.
Do you own the company 100% or do some of them have equity?
100%. Yeah, eventually, as bigger we grow, eventually that's the goal, to give them some equity. Yeah. And they could build some sort of value in the business and feel like, even though they feel like the business is theirs, but
you have the Puerto Rican accent, right? Or is it the Cuban?
It's a little bit of both, man. I can even, I've been with my wife now for the past 10 years, so I even talk Colombian. I have a lot of Colombian.
Yeah, Colombians have a nice accent too.
Yeah, so.
But how did you? Why do you speak like that? If you were born here, like you have do you spend a lot of time with Puerto Ricans and Cubans?
No. Well, most of our employees are Latin. The majority of our employees are Latin. So we speak Spanish most of the time. Yeah. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Or is that Miami thing,
Maybe it's like the Miami, because Miami there's a lot of Puerto Ricans too.
And Cubans, a lot of Cubans.
Yeah.
A lot of Venezuelans too.
Do you go to Puerto Rico?
Been to Puerto Rico. Never been to Cuba, but I've been to Puerto Rico a lot. My grandmother still lives there.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Dorado Beach?
Yeah, El Dorado, of course.
Beach. You should go with your family. Go to Dorado Beach Reserve. the Ritz. I don't know if you've been
Never stayed at the Ritz at the.
Have you been in there?
No.
No?
No.
Dude, go in there. It's like paradise when you go in there. It's like my favorite place in the world.
Nah, come on, Albert. The world, man.
Yeah. Because I haven't been to Europe yet.
Oh, okay.
I haven't been to Europe or South America.
Haven't been to Greece?
I haven't been to Greece yet.
Oh, we were there last year.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I highly recommend Greece, man. During this time, August,
Yeah.
September.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Colombia though.
Oh yeah.
So I'll reach out to you for
Will Syl let you go by yourself, or you're gonna?
I'm going by
oh,
myself. Yeah. Yeah.
What part of Colombia?
Medellin.
Medellin. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I'm going with a guy friend.
Oh really?
Yeah. So I'm going there because I got hired to speak. So I'm gonna go speak.
Oh nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You're gonna have fun.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah.
La Paisa son.
It's a
nice
beautiful
people.
country. Yeah. Yep. Very nice people. So when you started your childhood, were you middle class?
Middle class.
Middle class.
Middle class. We weren't like
Like
my
poor
mom.
or nothing, but you
No,
were
no.
like middle class.
They were they were hardworking. My mom and my dad, very
Yeah.
hardworking. Most of the attributes I have, the way I carry myself, the way I run everything is all through my mom. My mom has instilled that in me and my brother. So yeah, very hardworking, very hardworking.
And then when did you decide I'm gonna like when did you get into business? When did you start the company? Before that, you had a job. You used to work somewhere.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I started.
Because you had a high paying job, right? You made
Yeah.
decent money.
Yeah. We were over six figures, but I started in the bottom and I worked my way up. Right out of high school, I knew I wasn't gonna go to college.
Yeah.
Right out of high school, I knew I wasn't gonna go to college. So I was already working at a BMW dealership, and I was just like your parts guy, And within a matter of 2 years, I was able to work my way up to service, and worked in service for about 10 years. And that was a big blessing for me. Not only did I make a lot of money, but I was able to meet a lot of people,
Right.
network with a lot of people, and it kind of opens up the way of thinking of what else you could do besides just working a 9 to 5. Yeah, we were making over six figures, but it just wasn't enough. I knew that I could do more.
So you were making over 100 grand.
Yeah.
And why do you think working there in service and talking to a lot of clients, how do you think that made you more skilled with talking and communication, like people skills? Because
Well, you had to sell. I had to sell.
Yeah.
Even though the cars would come in to service and BMWs, the service is usually free.
Yeah.
But most people, if they own the car, they have to pay for it, and you have to sell the service.
Yeah.
Even if the car's under warranty, you still have to sell the service. You'll sell tire rotation, so you have to sell.
Yeah.
And one of the attributes that I think I was able to build from is building relationships with people, and that would help me sell. Getting to know the people, and you've built that kind of.
How would you get to know them?
You'll always come in because the service was free, so you start to come in, start building that relationship.
What made you want to build these relationships? When was the moment where you thought? Because obviously now we know how important relationships are. They're everything. But right there, back then, when did you clicked and you're like, oh, you know what? I got to build relationships, even though they're getting it for free, even though maybe you're not getting paid on the spot. When did you think like, hey, you know what? I'm going to create these relationships because maybe later I'm going to get paid big for them.
To be honest, man, it was just my personality.
Yeah, because that's what made me 30 million in a year. Yeah, relationships.
No, of course.
Because one relationship introduced me to another one, which led to another one and to another one, and opened a lot of doors, and got me a lot of exposure, which allowed me to hire, recruit, get more sales, get more things, because it's very easy to ask for stuff when you're very known. And one relationship led to one. So it was the Grand Cardone led to Brad Lee, and then from there I took off. But you did that early, and you, like you said, you didn't even think about it, but you just started building the relationships, which led to you when you opened your business. It made it so much easier. But one thing you did is, were you ever shy or nervous to talk to people?
No, man. No.
Because I have a friend really close to me, and this friend was a bartender. Right? When you're a bartender, you talk to a lot of people. right? But my friend here is still like shy, and I'm like, you shouldn't be shy.
Of course not. He's talking to people all the time.
But why do some people, like they'll have a people's business where you talk to a lot of people every day, but you're still shy. And why do some people do that?
Shy in what sense? Like speaking, public speaking?
Public speaking.
Because you could get a little shy.
Speaking to strangers, being on camera, calling people on the phone.
Maybe it's because he knows that there's an objective behind it, and when he's bartending, he's just having a good time and just taking an order.
Yeah.
See, so he's taking an order, and it's easier for him.
Yeah.
But when you have to sell, if you have him picking up phones and trying to sell, you have to sell
the pressure. You have to sell to eat, right?
100%.
Did you have like a small base salary or
straight commission?
Oh, straight commission. So that's the difference.
Straight commission.
If you tell somebody, hey, you're not gonna get paid anything unless you sell, that makes them very talkative quick.
Yeah, straight commission,
Yeah.
man. So you learn quick. You learn quick, man.
That happened to me when I got into mortgage. Like I had to sell or die.
Yeah. When I was at the dealership, I that was one of the paths I was trying to take, and I ended up taking the state in Florida, state and national test.
Yeah.
Passed the state, failed the national twice, and then
For what?
for mortgage.
Oh, for mortgage.
For mortgage.
This was what year?
I want to say it was 2016,
Oh,
2017,
wow.
something like that.
So you weren't making that much money back then.
I was making, yeah, man. It's, at the age of 20, I've been over 100 grand.
But how much money were you making when you were applying for mortgage?
I was making over 100 grand.
100. Yeah. So
I
you
was just tired. I was
You weren't
tired
making
of-
millions. That's what I mean.
Oh,
You weren't
no.
making millions. You were making like six figures.
Yeah, six figures.
Yeah, because that's interesting. Because obviously you went another route and you did really well. But if you would have been in mortgage, you would have done well too. Because you have that personality, the people skills. I mean, you have to sell. Like your wife. You
100%.
You have to sell her.
Of
or
course.
else you wouldn't have your wife.
Of course.
Now, when you started selling there, what happened after that? You started making money. Why did you decide I'm going to leave this place and I'm going to go start my own business?
When I was making money, ended up getting divorced, and I had some cash saved. So I ended up buying.
How much did you have saved?
It was like 50 grand. It was back in 2015.
Yeah.
Ended up buying one apartment. Rented out the apartment. I was making like $100 a month. But I kept the apartment for 2 years. So when I decided to leave the dealership, I ended up selling the apartment, and that's what kind of funded the business. That and money that I had saved up and credit cards and 401k, because I threw the whole book at this business.
This was what year?
I left the dealership in 2018, August of 2018, and my business took off January of 2019.
So this all been like super recent.
This is all 5
Yeah.
years, man. 5 years. From
5 years.
zero.
You know, most businesses go out of business in
7
5
years. Yeah, 5 to 7 years.
Most businesses don't even make it past a couple of years.
We are-
5 years, most businesses go out of business.
Yeah, it's been tough, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's been tough, because we keep expanding, and payroll alone, paying weekly, over 100 employees. Because we have employees in W2. We also have subcontractors, and we
Yeah.
pay weekly.
Yeah.
And the jobs are a lot, and it's very tough, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's very tough too.
At least you don't have to do. You don't have a state tax over there.
Yeah, I know. Thank God.
Yeah. If
I
you
know.
lived here in California,
I don't know how you do it, man.
Me neither.
I don't know how you do it.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah. Me neither. So you have a lot of big successes like recently, and I remember year 5. Then I got to year 10 as a business owner, because I was really a business owner since I was like 20, because I started working in real estate mortgage, but I was self-employed. So I was working for another company, but I was technically like self-employed.
Was the business running itself already, or you weren't there yet, that you already had system and processes in place that you could kind of step away a bit and had people
When?
at that age? When you
No,
were 20?
I mean, I was self-employed, but I was a loan officer.
Okay.
So I would originate loans, close them, get paid. So I was in the business, but I wasn't really I wasn't a business owner. I became a business owner 2013 when we started our first company, the Mortgage Guys. So I've been through so much and they've been through like everything you can imagine, from lawsuits to IRS audits to compliance, to the Department of Real Estate coming and trying to shut me down, to just everything you can imagine. So it's been a journey. So that's why when I tell you, hey, you have something incredible going on, a lot of people that watch this, they'll be like, man, so if you're doing it,
they could do
and
it.
Albert's doing it, like they could do it.
100% they could do it.
So when you started your business in 2018, what you put everything.
I had no idea what I was going to do.
Yeah.
The industry, the niche that I'm in right now, which is servicing multifamily units,
Yeah.
was presented to me by a friend of mine at the dealership. His wife was a property manager, and they gave me the opportunity. They said, hey, you want to enter into this field? And I said, sure. I had no idea. I had no idea about the field. I had no idea about cleaning. We were cleaning offices, me and my wife. We were cleaning offices after work. We would work at the dealership. She works at her job, and we would go after work and start cleaning.
Yeah.
To slowly build the business.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it was.
Yeah.
In 2018, once I quit, it was like maybe 3-4 months that went by.
Yeah.
Landed this contract. And when I landed the contract, January of 2019, the business took off. And we started off with just cleaning apartments, carpet cleaning. Met a painter. The painter came on board. Then we started doing kind of like a full-turn service. You mentioned Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone, we serviced some of his properties down in South Florida.
Yeah. How'd you land him?
We were already in the property. The property was a new build. It was a lease up, what they call it.
Yeah.
One property management company was managing it, build the lease up, and Grant Cardone built his fund through Cardone Capital. I was so close to join that fund. That's his property, 10X Miami.
How much were you gonna put?
At the $5,000, dude. At the time,
Yeah.
man, all my money was in my business. To this day, all my money is in my business, man. That's the only way. You have to be balls in, all in into the business. If not, you can't spread yourself thin. You just can't.
Yeah.
You have to really commit, really believe in yourself that you really want to, succeed in this business that you're starting from scratch.
Yeah. Before we get into the Grant Cardone part, so when you got divorced, you mentioned you were divorced.
Divorced, 2 kids.
So you have
paying
2
child
kids?
support, and went from earning over $100,000 to earning 0.
Why is that?
Because I started the business. I had no revenue.
Yeah.
So I was living off of my savings, living off of credit card. I had 0. My mom always instilled in me, try not to have no debt.
Yeah.
Because debt was bad, but we obviously know that there's good debt.
Yeah.
You start to learn that as you're in business. And I put myself in debt, man, big time. To just do payroll, to keep paying my child support. Because if I don't pay child support, I go to jail. So I put myself 3 hard years without earning a single dime. Liquidated my 401k, massive credit card debt, and
How much did you have in your 401k?
$50,000.
But that's what you took
and
out.
I pulled it
That's
out. I pulled it out early, and I took out. They taxed me big time, bro. I needed it. I needed to make payroll.
Yeah.
I needed to make payroll. I needed another year of child support.
How old are your kids now?
13 and 11.
13, 11. Do you have any more?
Hopefully soon we'll have a girl. Have 2 boys. 13. Christopher's 13, and Caleb just turned 11.
Yeah. You have a good relationship with them?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah?
Those are my boys, man. Ride or die.
Yeah.
Ride or die.
What caused you to get divorced?
It was I got married young.
Yeah.
20 years old. My ex-wife is 6 years older than me.
Yeah.
So I got married young, and as time went by, we didn't see eye to eye. And I wanted to do certain things because at the time it was 08, 09. We had about $50,000 in the savings, and all these little condos were coming up. And I said, hey, we should grab some of that money and invest in this foreclosure townhouse. No. There's people.
So
there's people
she had a fixed mindset. You had a growth mindset.
Correct. There's people in this world that just like to be complacent, and that's when we didn't see eye to eye.
Because you also said something that if you're not, that every dollar you're investing it back into the business. So because if you're not growing, you're dying.
100%.
That's one of my formulas. Like we always have to keep growing, or else we're gonna die.
Of course.
So we always put ourselves in bigger situations that forces us to like.
But that's just not just growing in business. You want to grow in personal development.
Yeah.
You want to grow in your relationship. You want to grow in a lot of things. It's not just business itself.
Yeah.
You want to grow overall.
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah. So Grant Cardone. So you service one of his
Multiple properties of his.
and like just more or less, like how much do you make in a property like that?
Our margins are very small because it's all by volume.
Like how
Our margins are after clearing everything, we're probably maybe like 12 to 15%.
That's not bad. That's not too bad.
You know, well, to me, it's
Yeah, 20% is considered really good.
Yeah, we try to,
because restaurants are
restaurants. Yeah, they're
very low.
Yeah,
I think they're like 4 or 5% maybe, or they
but they also get a lot of cash too, and they don't report cash.
Right, and then also the airline space is also really bad. So like that is there any way you could increase the margins?
You can, but the competition down south, you know, in the niche that I'm in, there's a lot of competition.
You're in the luxury, right?
We do a lot of high end, but we do anything, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a C class building,
Yeah.
B or A. The majority of our properties are A class. We deal with, like I said, Grant Cardone. Most of his properties down south. We deal with his properties. Avalon Bay. That they're big out here in California.
You don't work with Bobby Castro?
No.
Do you know him?
No.
I'll connect you with him.
Sweet.
I'll give you another big contract right there.
Sweet.
Yeah, he has a lot of apartments. I think he has like 3,000 apartments.
Oh, nice.
Not 3,000 units.
3,000
units. Yeah, like I think it's like 6 or 7 apartments or buildings. Now, like with a big building like that, like the Cardone one, how much do you service it to us? Is it every week? Is it every day? Every other day? Or?
It depends on the turns. As people move out.
So I understand your business better, and people watching this. So what you service is, let's say Maria is one of the tenants at one of Cardone's properties, and then she's like, you know what, I'm gonna leave this unit. I'm gonna go find a different unit.
Her lease is up.
Yeah, her lease is up, or she gets married, she has kids, so she has to get a bigger spot. So she leaves. So then you go there. We
go in there. We paint. We clean. We get the unit ready. We're a one-stop shop. We get the unit ready for the next tenant. So we save the property management time as far as them being able to turn around that unit quick, because we're a one-stop shop. They don't have to call 4 or 5 different vendors.
In a month for a property like that, like how much gross comes in, more or less?
Man, it depends on how many units is the.
Let's just say what, like.
So let's just say average. Let's just say an average.
Like the Cardone one.
Man, I think he has maybe 300 units in that property. I'm not 100% sure.
Just more or less, like a gross number.
Gross number, probably close to 100, 80, 100, more or less, something like that.
So, is that property, for example, is that property? You don't have to give me the percentage, but is that property like one of your biggest clients or one of your biggest deals?
No, because I have one management company that I deal with all of South Florida.
Yeah, but that, would you say that property is like a semi big client that you have?
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
So if you get,
there's Grant Cardone. Who doesn't know Grant Cardone?
If you get a lot,
isn't that your friend?
Well, he used to be my friend.
Oh,
but
man.
but he blocked me.
Oh, how so? How come?
Well, that's a long story. But I was his mentee. We'll get back to your partner really quick. But I was his mentee, and I went to his first ever conference that he had. So he had a conference in Cancun in 2013. So it's like 11 years ago.
Wow.
So I went down there to the Cancun, the Hard Rock, and it was a small. This was when he just got into social media. So nobody knew him.
All the car dealerships knew him.
Yeah.
All the sales
car dealerships. He was big right there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went there and I started hearing him I heard his audiobook, how to sell to survive. And I listened to the audiobook. Then he had just started on social media. So I started listening to his show that he used to have on YouTube with his wife and Young Hustlers and that kind of shows. So I liked him, and I still like him. He'll see this, but I still like Grant Cardone. But I went to that conference and like 35 people were there. It was his first to start. Then he started
35 people.
35 people in Cancun, yeah. So I flew all the way over there, all inclusive.
How much was that? How much was the conference back then?
Not much, man. I think I paid $450.
Look at the value, bro.
Yeah, and I
for the amount of money that and the value that you probably because you look at you now.
Yeah, but back then I didn't have any money. I was making $100 I made 106,000 in 2013. And 2014, that's the year that I made 300K.
Look at that.
But when I went there, the year before I had made 106K.
And what changed? What changed that? Because that's
yeah.
You tripled. You tripled yourself.
So I went there and I paid $450 for my ticket. I thought, hey, it's a no-brainer because it's only $450. It's all inclusive. So I said, I'm gonna take my parents. So I'm gonna pay for my parents. I'm gonna take my brother, and it's all inclusive. So it was cheap. Hard Rock in Cancun, and free food, free booze. So I just went there, and it was his first one. He didn't know what he was doing back then. So he tested that out.
That's pretty ballsy though.
And it is.
Just like you when you started your driven
After
stuff.
that, he created the first 10X conference with 2,000 people. So I went there, 35 people showed up. I was the best mentee in that room by far. And I don't even, I think maybe there's one more person that did good from there.
When you say your best mentee, what exactly is, what do you mean by best mentee?
His best student that made the most money and became more successful.
That you basically took what he was saying, took it in, and really made it happen.
Yeah. Because I built everything from zero. And me and my wife, she's the operator and I'm the CEO, the visionary. But we started everything from zero. No partners,
Isn't
no money.
Isn't that a great satisfaction?
Nothing. It is, but it's the hardest thing to do.
It is. A lot of people break.
Yeah. So I went there, right? And then I went to his next seminars. I bought all his coachings. I bought the best tickets. So I've invested like $500,000 in Grant Cardone.
But you've made that maybe 10 times, you think?
Maybe 100 times more.
Look at that, bro. Come on, man.
So I learned so much from him, right? And then what happened is we were very close. I went to his condo. I went to his I would.
Was he living in Miami at the time?
Yeah, I went to the Regalia. We had dinner in his house. I would whenever they came here, I would lend them the Rolls Royce. I would pick him up from the airport, drop it off there. We did a podcast in his jet not too long ago. That's when I a little before I stopped talking to him. But he so long story short. He came to LA and we would always see each other hang out, right? We went to Soho House and we would see each other. We would spend a lot of time. We would work out and Elena Cardone, awesome lady. She's so nice.
That
so
story
cool.
of you reaching out to her instead of to him, because obviously he had all the eyes. So you want to go to the right hand person who was gonna sleep with him every night. But hey, this guy Albert. Yeah, he this that he was talking to me.
I was
was smart.
I was way closer to Elena Cardone than Grant Cardone.
Wow.
And Cardone kept asking me I don't know if it was because I didn't invest with him, because I invested with him $500,000 with all his products and
he wanted you to invest in Cardone Capital.
Yeah, I would buy the $15K ticket up front, $20K ticket up front. I would go there every year. I threw a lot of money, so. He kept asking me, "Hey, dude, invest in Cardone Capital. Invest in Cardone Capital." He's like, "Just send me $100K so that I can say that you invested. Just send me something." And I would say no, because I probably should have said yes, but I said no because I own a real estate brokerage. I own a mortgage brokerage,
and you probably own your own stuff.
I own 18 properties. I got a 4-unit. My wife got a 3-unit. We started getting more 3 units, 4 units.
But
3 units, 4 units.
But you don't think now, knowing the fact that he started a new venture.
Yeah.
He probably wanted your support, bro.
Yeah.
That's like if you start your venture now and you reach out to him, you probably would want him to support you, no?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So maybe he felt like, damn, why wouldn't Albert support me?
Yeah. So this is what started happening. But back then, I probably didn't even have $100,000 because I was paycheck to paycheck.
You were probably investing on your business.
I would you make money in the business, and then what happens? You have payroll, commission pays, you're out of money again, and then you make some money. You got to hire more people. You get more business. You got to increase marketing. So it's business is never ending. So I just was not in a position to go. Hey, here's $100,000. I needed those $100,000 for myself. I had my own properties. So what happens is. I noticed that he would come to LA and then he wouldn't have time for me. So I'm in LA. Oh, I have this, I have that. I don't have time. So then another time came. Oh, I'm busy. I'm like, they never have time. They used to have time. So then I started thinking,
started distancing themselves
because
from
I didn't invest in the fund, he probably decided to like maybe he doesn't want to talk to me anymore. Then also, you know, I was studying Scientology because he introduced me to it, and I learned so much from Scientology. It was good. They have good courses. You learn a lot. But then I stopped going.
Before that, were you heavily religious in another religion, or you weren't?
I've never been really religious, but I was brought up Catholic.
Catholic, yeah.
And then I went to some Christian churches here and there. I had a girlfriend back then that was a Jehovah Witness, so
Wow.
I did a little bit of that. But you know, they're all one thing that I see in religion is they like to fund money. They like to collect money. They like donations, which is, you know, I'm okay with that. But Scientology, it's not like Catholic or Christian where you go and you sit and you have a mass and how it goes, you pray and all that. It's not like that. It's more
of a teaching.
Yeah, like so the way it works is you give donations. And you'll give but the donations are not like small donations. Like they don't ask for $100.
It's probably 10% of what you make. It's probably what they ask you for.
I could see that. I think that's
probably what it is. There's a lot of Christian churches that are the same.
Yeah.
You got to give at least 10% of what you make.
So they like big celebrities, and then they have courses that you could take. So they have the intro courses that are not that expensive, but then they have courses that are like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60K, and they just go really high. So I was going there.
Were you going there to really learn, or you were going there to really network and build relationships?
Grant, like I said, he was my first mentor. He was my first really successful mentor. And he said, and I started studying him a lot. And I would watch his videos over and over again, like the old videos. Because I think if you want to learn Grant Cardone, if you want to study him, don't look at his content from today.
Old stuff.
Look at 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Old videos, and you'll learn so much from that. So because I want to learn how he exploded and made so much money.
Marketing.
And so that's why I go
Personal
back
branding.
to how he, like his whole history. So then he said Dianetics a lot, the book Dianetics. Then he talked about the what is it called? The Purification Rundown. So by by Hubbard. So Hubbard is the founder of Scientology. So he's not the founder. He's the one that it's based on him, Hubbard. So Hubbard is he has this purification rundown where you go and you clean yourself. You clean yourself like una limpia.
So is it like more like a you know, us Catholics? I'm Catholic. It's like you go to confession and you kind of confess. Is that kind of like what it is, or is it like Santeria that you go and you go to some person that they call like un babalao or something like that, and they y te limpian.
Yeah.
Is it something like that?
It's not like that. It's
okay.
So it's you do give confessions and you talk about like things that you're doing in your personal life, but those two things, I heard him talking about it. So then I asked him, and then I studied him, and then later, as we were close and we were friends, and he was my mentor, and I would talk to Elena a lot. They told me, hey, go here. You're gonna take these courses. They're gonna make a big difference. You're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna get better. So that's why I trusted them, because they were in a place where I wanted to be at. So I said, I'm gonna go do that. So I started attending, and I went there. I took Syl.
Also your wife, yeah.
And then I said, well, what do we have to do here? And they said, well, you're coming very highly recommended by Cardone and Elena, and we're gonna help you get to where they got, like just like they did it. You have the personality. You have
where
the
this is
personal
going.
brand. Yeah.
So you think that kind of helped them blow up? They put them in the right position.
It did because they believe in it so much. And when you believe in something so much, it's good. Like you do good. But I went in there, and me and Syl, got our courses. We started taking courses. We did the purification rundown, which is like you go in there and you get rid of all the toxins.
How was your wife in the beginning? Because my wife is very religious. If I tell her, hey, I want to start, studying Scientology, she'd be like, well, you could go. I don't think I'll probably join you.
We went all in. We're both the same. We just went all in. We went all in. I trusted Grant Cardone, and so I went all in, and he talks about it. So I said, well, if this contributed to his success, and he talks about it all the time, he's a little bit more open about it now. I haven't seen his content recently for the last 3 years because he blocked me on Instagram.
Wow.
So he blocked me on Instagram. So going on back to that, I took the courses, I did the purification rundown, I read the whole book Dianetics, and I took courses, but then I stopped going. So I feel like because I stopped going to Scientology, that maybe that's why he stopped kind of wanting to hang out with me, or it was probably a combination of that and
I think Grant likes to hang around with people that
contribute to him, they give him value, which is not bad.
It's not bad at all, man.
So then, long story short, he doesn't want to make time for me. He's too busy. Elena and Grant
I see him everywhere,
busy.
Man. He's hustling all the time, bro.
Yeah,
you can't knock him down there. He's always hustling.
He's a really hard worker. And also he spends time with people that invest in him, which is smart. It's a little selfish, but sometimes you got to be a little bit selfish to win. But I don't know if it was one of those two things. It was a combination for sure, or it was one or the other. So because he didn't have time for me, I was forced to look for a new mentor. So
that's when you met PBD?
That's PBD. I met at this. I met like a year after Grant.
Okay.
But when Grant just didn't have time for me anymore, I said, okay, well, I need to find a new mentor. So then somebody from the sky came, and I don't know if this has happened to you, where like you're in a hard part in your life or business, and then like you get lucky or somebody just shows up out of nowhere and that gives you something for free, whether it's big money or big advice or mentorship. So this guy just pops out of nowhere, and his name is Bobby Castro. And Bobby will see this too. So Bobby Castro shows up.
That's the guy you recommended me?
Yeah, I'm going to introduce you to him. So Bobby Castro is a lot like Grant Cardone, but different in a way. So where's
he based out of?
He's in Miami. He's in not in Miami, but a little bit. He's in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
So he lives in Fort Lauderdale, and he owns multi-units. He has like 3,000 units, and he sold a business for $1 billion.
Wow.
So he's on that Grant Cardone level. And so he showed up, and he wanted to get into social media. I had the big Driven event, which I started because of Grant Cardone too.
Yeah, I know. I heard that story.
So because he didn't let me speak on stage, so I said I'm gonna start my own stage. So then Bobby Castro shows up, and he speaks at Driven 3. I was gonna have a Grant for Driven 3, but he stopped. He stopped talking to me. He didn't have time for me, whatever the reason was. Which then again, I want to make it very clear here that I have nothing bad to say about Grant Cardone. I love the guy. I love the dude. Great guy. Hopefully one day in the future we'll talk again, and we'll laugh about this. But he didn't have time for me. I had to move on. So Bobby Castro became my new mentor because he was a lot like him. And I told Bobby, hey, Bobby. So we were talking, and I said, hey, Bobby, what advice do you give me? I'm trying to get closer to Grant, but he doesn't have time and this and that. We're backstage, Driven 3. We had David Goggins before he blew up.
Look at that.
You know David Goggins, right?
Of course, bro.
Yeah, he had a million followers. Now he has like 11 or 12 million, and now he gets paid like $500,000 to speak. But David Goggins was speaking there, and I got him on his way up, so he wasn't that expensive. But I put every dollar that I had for that event. So me and Bobby Castro are backstage. David Goggins is speaking, and then we're in the back, and we're talking about that. And so Bobby Castro tells me, get off that drug. And it's the Cardone drug.
The Cardone drug.
So get off the drug and like the Cardone drug. It was not meant to be anything bad towards Grant. And it was just meant to be like, hey, I'm not getting time or mentorship anymore. I need to keep learning and growing. So he said, get off the Cardone drug. You're going to remain in the same hamster wheel. and he's like he gets really pumped up, and he's like screaming, voices high, and he's telling me like you gotta look for something.
He wanted you to open your eyes.
Yeah. So as you see, like I'm always being recorded. So I'm being recorded, and they get that clip, and then I post that clip on my social media because I said, well, I'm not getting their time anymore. They're mad at me for some reason, or not mad, but they just I don't bring any more value to them. I'm not paying them anymore. I'm not, maybe because I stopped taking courses in Scientology. I don't know. So then I'm like, okay, well, I post that video.
And you would call him and he wouldn't answer?
I would text him, and then he would take like all day to text me back, or he would text me back the next day. So I'm like, he's too busy for me. And Elena would always text me back. Oh,
so you stayed in communication with her?
I did until I posted that video. So when I posted that video, which I didn't mean any harm, but if you want videos to go viral or do good, you chop it up. Now I know that better, but back then, my marketing team chopped that video up and posted that video on Instagram. That video gets to Elena Cardone like this, Grant Cardone like this, and then all of a sudden I'm blocked from Instagram. They both blocked me. And so I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I regret posting that video, because if it led to that, it was not worth it. But I did not post that video. My team posted it before I knew it. Boom, I'm blocked from Grant. Elena blocks me. Elena blocks Syl, which she had nothing to do with this. So
they basically just distanced themselves.
And all of a sudden, then we're blocked. And so that stopped the communication with them. Like, maybe I should have invested $100,000 in his fund, and I shouldn't have posted that video, and things would have been very different. But at the same time, I think that things happen for a reason. And if I wouldn't have been that ballsy and made those big moves, I also wouldn't be here right now.
100%.
Maybe I would have stayed
under the Cardone drug,
a fan or a small thinker for the rest of my life. So because he didn't give me the opportunity to speak at the 10X conference for 1 year after the next, that forced me to think bigger and be like, okay, well, I'm going to create my own stage.
You don't think that he was, because I saw the video.
Yeah.
When
the which video?
When you had asked him, and you said that you didn't have like a following. Yeah, you made your $1 million or $2 million that year.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, Grant, I'm ready,
Yeah.
Grant. But in his eyes, he's like, you don't have the following yet. And maybe he was trying to push you, bro.
Yeah.
Maybe he was trying to push you so you could grow and become the person that you are now. Maybe it's a different.
Yeah, well, the thing is that he helped me so much, and like, people will see this. People have to see this full podcast, because people are not going to understand it. They'll see a clip that's 40 seconds, and they'll be like, oh, he hates Grant Cardone. He doesn't like Grant Cardone. And it's the opposite. I love Grant Cardone.
You're trying to rebuild that relationship.
And so, like, I learned so much from him, and he pushed me to start my own event. And then when he didn't have time for me, he taught me a lesson, like, hey, you got to pay to play. Now I say that. You got to pay to play.
What was the first thing I told you?
You got to pay to play.
You got to pay to play. That's it.
You got to pay to play. So I should have paid him, and maybe things would have been way different. But at the same time, because I didn't pay him, I learned a lesson, and it forced me to think bigger. I was like, okay, so you don't want to help me. You don't have time for me. I'm going to upgrade my mentor. So like, I just went out ballsy, and I said, I'm going to upgrade my mentor, and boom, got me blocked. And then it forced me to think even bigger and be like, okay, well, I used that as motivation, and then I grew from there, and it was great. But I mean, that happened. I learned, and maybe later in life, I'll meet Grant and Elena again, because I have nothing but respect for them.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
Yeah.
Going back to the mentor stuff that you were saying, I ended up meeting my mentor at the dealership.
Yeah.
Because you want to. His name is Elkin Sanchez, by the way.
Yeah.
Owner of Icon Realty.
Okay.
Good friend of mine, man. I had to throw the plug there.
Yeah.
I had to throw the plug because I owe it to him a lot. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for him.
And I think you should always name drop. Like, I don't think I know. Like, you should always name drop you should always give credit to people that helped you along the way, because that's why, like Grant, he helped me a lot, and I give nothing but credit to him.
So, and you should. So there was a point in my life, you know, I was seeking some kind of mentorship.
Yeah.
And at the dealership, so many people would come in.
Yeah.
And I would pick everybody's brain. And when I first met him, dude, I had no idea the kind of business he had. When I first met him.
Yeah.
And he's still heavily invested in real estate. That's his bread and butter. But when I first met him, dude, I thought he was a drug dealer, bro. And I told him this, and he's like, man, no, you're kidding me. Because the way the swagger that he carries himself with,
yeah.
he carries himself young.
Is he flashy?
No, not flashy at all. But he's young. He had his kids young, so he carries himself young. And I was like, man, you know what? And I told him this, and he was cracking up. But anyways, I always wanted a mentor.
Yeah.
Because you're not born with everything. You know, a lot of people are blessed that their dads are their mentor, that they could look up to their dads because their dad have built a very successful business.
Yeah.
You know,
you didn't have that.
I didn't have that. My dad taught me other values.
Same with me. Yeah.
You know, taught me hard work, keeping my word, taught me a lot of values. But entrepreneurship, I had nobody. Yeah. And I didn't go to school. Yeah. So he definitely came into my life, and God put him there, man. And you know, we need that. We all need somebody to kind of say, hey, look, you know what? I believe in you. Yeah. You're seeking for help, and at no cost. Yeah. Yeah. At no cost to dedicate time at no cost, and that's one of my purposes too. You know, if it wasn't for him, he kind of opened the eyes and said, you know what, I could help other people out. Mm-hmm. You know, that's why, you know, I wanted to come here and join you so I could put my story out there, you know, and that's what I'm trying to do, man. I'm trying to help other people out.
Yeah. So when you start getting big clients and you get Cardone, you get other big clients, when was it when you broke like your first million, where you're like, oh man, I made $1 million plus this year?
Million plus revenue on the business?
Yeah.
That happened within 3 years, man. That happened within 3 years. The business took off. 2019.
So the first time you hit $1 million, was it $1 million? Was it 1.6?
It was 1.3. 1.3, and it's been doubling every single year.
Doubling every single year. Yeah.
That's when, you know, your other mentor, PBD, I ended up getting in contact with Mario, his right-hand man.
Well, I know Mario very well. Yeah. Me and Mario are very close.
Yeah, he's super cool. I got in contact with him, and I joined his mastermind, and I'm going to the vault now too. Yeah. As a CEO. Yeah. Because I told myself, you know, he was trying to sell me last year. Sam, just come as a. I'm like, dude, no. I want to sit right next to Pat. I want to pick his brain. I want to see the kind of value that he, and I paid the money, man. I said, you know what, I'm gonna pay the money and go as a CEO and see what kind of value I get out of it. Yeah. And so
that's a very see, like, you're following a blueprint that works, because that's what I used to do.
That's the blueprint you did. Yeah. I was looking at your video. I was like, dude, this guy did the same thing I was thinking. Mm-hmm. Albert did the same thing I was thinking. Yeah. You want to surround yourself with those people. You learn from it. Even it's dude, I don't spend money, man. All my money goes into my business, or I go out to eat, or we travel. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. My kids, but I'm not there at that point yet. I will be. I will be driving that Ferrari.
You know why You know why I stopped going to events? Mark this one. You know why I stopped going to events? Because I started my own event. And let me explain what I mean. So I used to go to a lot of events, and I used to get the CEO ticket, the founder ticket, the ticket all the way in the front.
You're spending all that money when you could spend it on yourself to build your own thing?
Well, I did that in the beginning stage, because right now you're in that stage, but your next stage in business and life is gonna be to start your own event. So like you're gonna start, like, maybe it's the Works
something
summit, or the Works conference, and it's gonna be a huge conference, and you're gonna promote your business.
Well, that's why I'm here. That's why
nationwide. I'm going to show you how to do that. All that tomorrow.
That's why I joined your mastermind. Yeah. I want to see, you know, personal branding.
Yeah.
You know.
So Grant, Patrick, I went to their
Brad Lee too. You mentioned Brad Lee.
Yeah, Bradley. Bradley doesn't have events though. He started doing events now.
But Brad Lee teaches a lot of systems and stuff like that, right?
He teaches training, and he's very good in sales. Yeah, yeah. That's a whole different story with Brad Lee. But I stopped going to events because Syl was telling me, hey, you know what? This guy's going to events. He's going to the Vault, to the 10X conference, to this, to that. Tony Robbins, and
I've never been to a Tony Robbins. I heard those.
I have, yeah. So I told Syl, I outgrew that stage. Like I'm not there anymore.
You topped already the amount of knowledge you were gonna get already. Exactly. I'm pretty sure after a certain point, does it become repetitive, or no?
It does, but when you start going to conferences, you go to conference not to learn. And this is based on my experience.
Well, I think you go to conference to learn in the beginning, but after that is to build relationships.
If you want to learn, you could watch YouTube videos. If you want to learn, the best way of learning.
That's what I did.
The best way of learning is to hire a mentor one-on-one.
Well, that's what you did with.
That's what I did. Yeah.
Pat.
So that's how you learn.
And you got it so cheap too, bro.
Yeah, conferences you don't go to learn. That's why I stopped going to conferences. I go to conferences. I went to conferences to get close to the main person, and to go up, because when you have conferences you have Q&A. So like I would be the guy that I would go in line all the time. I would make a line. I would be the first one in the line, and I would just get the mic and I would start stuttering. So I'm like stuttering. I'm like there, and I remember I was there with Grant and Jay Abraham, and you could watch it. Like if you YouTube or Google Albert Preciado, Grant Cardone, Jay Abraham, you'll find me there. And I was asking questions, and I would ask the most stupid questions. I would say the most weird thing, but it would just come out naturally. And I got better and better at speaking and communicating as time went on.
What books did you read?
The best book is How to Win and Influence Friends. That's the best book. That's the only book you should study for communication. Like, it's great. It tells you every secret you need. And then there's a lot more other books.
Yeah, there's a lot of books out there.
I would go.
I just want to know what books impacted you.
I'll give you the list of books later. But I would grab the mic and I would just ask a question, and then I would start talking about myself. So like when you do podcasts, like now that you have a podcast, you know what you should do? Pay pay somebody to be on your podcast. So pay somebody, I don't know, $10,000, $15,000.
Wes Watson been promoting that big time, man. You had him on here too.
Yeah. Well, he became a friend of mine. That's another story we could get into.
I'm so close, man. I just feel like if I were to tell him, hey Wes, here's 10 grand, I'm gonna do a podcast with you. I don't think I'm there yet, man. This guy is. I don't know, man.
You got to do it, and if you fuck it up, you're nervous or you mess up or it's not as good as you want, you get better with practice. Practice makes you better. I tell people all the time, you're not going to read a book on how to have sex. You're going to have better sex by practicing. Then you make babies and all that stuff. But there's no book you could read. These are the instructions on how you have sex. Same thing with how do you become a boxer? How do you become a basketball player? You cannot read a book on how to do that.
No, you have to
you got to practice like Kobe did. But I used to go on stage. I used to get the mic and ask a question. And when you pay somebody to be on your podcast, you interview yourself. So, for example, I got Jordan Belfort on my podcast, The Wolf of Wall Street.
Of course, man.
And if you go through that podcast, right? One of my first podcasts, I'm interviewing myself, and there's a point where Jordan Belfort is like dude, what's going on here? Like you're just talking about yourself for like 15 minutes. Like, are you gonna ask me any questions? So what I was doing is I was interviewing myself. I used Jordan Belfort's name, had him on my podcast. I asked him a few questions, right? But then I would start talking about my story, and then people were knowing my story because people were searching Jordan Belfort. Oh, Jordan Belfort, Albert Preciado. Who's this Albert Preciado guy?
But did he get pissed though, or no?
I'm sure they respect my strategy.
Okay.
They respect my hard work and my.
Oh, you paid him anyways, right? Or did you?
No, I did not pay him.
Not him. Okay.
But that's another key gem, because I met him at 10,000. It's a high rise, and the condos there the units go for like 15 grand a month, 20 grand a month, 60 grand a month. So there's a lot. They're luxury units, high rise. Mm-hmm. So because I moved there and I paid 20 grand a month when I couldn't really afford it, he was one of my neighbors. So he was one of my neighbors, and I told him, hey, you should be on my podcast. He was on my podcast. Lewis House was on there too. So I interviewed myself. So you pay them, you got to pay to play. So you'll pay
100%.
them, and then you start talking about yourself, and you get more exposure. So when you go there and
Yeah, you try to find relatable stories.
yeah.
As they start talking, you start to find relatable
Yeah.
stories, and then you start
So
talking about your
So what I
story.
told Syl is, hey, I don't go to these events because I already outgrew this. Do you think Grant Cardone's gonna buy a founder's ticket to come to Driven? Of course not. Do you think Patrick Bet-David's gonna go pay a 10x conference ticket and go to Cardone's? No. Some of it is ego. Some of it is they don't need that information anymore. They're already way surpassed that.
They're in a different level.
So when you go to those conferences, you go to network. You don't go to learn. You go to network and create relationships, right? So when you get the mic, when you go to the vault, go up there, and because you're a CEO, you're gonna get better service. So go when there's time for questions, raise your hand and ask a question. So one of my things that I used to do with Grant and Patrick was I would ask a question every single opportunity I would get. And I would be like, hey, Patrick, you know what? I have this question on this, but first I want to give big thanks to Patrick. He's one of my mentors. Patrick changed my life. I got mentorship in him, and now I went from this to this. So I'm giving him I'm giving him thanks, and I'm praising him, and I'm telling people like how good they did for me.
The value that he gave you.
So when you give people a compliment or a praise, they like you more. That's people skills, right? You tell a woman, hey, your eyelashes came out really nice, and she's gonna smile.
Or
She'll be, "Oh, thank you." Yeah. Your hair looks glowing. Like, did you do something to your hair? Hey, you look a bit different.
The eyebrows. The eyebrows.
Yeah. So you get what I'm saying, right?
Of course, bro.
So I would compliment, give them a praise, and then they would get happy, and then I would say, yeah, you know what? Patrick, you helped me build this mortgage company and this real estate company.
You threw in your plug.
We're paying our agents 100% commission, and we're in California, we're in Florida, and this is that. So I start promoting myself. So I use the opportunity of the mic to show off what I have. Now because of you, I have this Ferrari and this Rolls Royce, and I live in a unit, pay 20 grand a month, and blah blah blah. So I'm like exaggerating a little bit and promoting myself, but I'm using the mic. The power of the mic is very important, very powerful. So they'll ask me, well, this guy, he has a lot of followers, but he's going to all these events. And yeah, he's going to those events because he's doing what I did 10 years ago. He's going there because he wants to get that attention, and he wants to build that relationship with somebody like Patrick, Grant, or whatever. But I built that. I did that way back. And what people don't understand that you and me have, very similar, is that you have a business. You're not just a trainer or a coach.
That's what I see all the time now on Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh, they want to train people, but did they actually build a business?
Right.
From zero.
Yeah.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
Most of them don't.
So you're doing it the way I did it. I started businesses, and those businesses made me millions a month. And then I decided to get into online social media and coaching and all that stuff
to help people out.
So now my brand is growing, which is is making more money than ever. And it's helping the other businesses, and it's like it's becoming like it's just going viral like that. So now your next step is gonna be like, we're gonna have the Works conference. I'm gonna blow up my personal brand. I'm gonna pay to play. I'm gonna be asking every question. Tell Patrick, hey Patrick, Albert told me like just ask as many questions. And when that happens, is people there. I think there's gonna be thousands of people at that event.
There's a lot,
right?
Event.
So everybody there is gonna know who you are. So when you go there, tell them, hey guys, you guys can follow me and plug your Instagram. Say something that's gonna get all those 5,000, 10,000 people to follow you and to look you up. Like just crazy things like that. But that's your next step. And before we close out here, your business, talk about how you went when you broke $1 million, you doubled. What do you think led to doubling and to the point where you are today, where
I think
the amount is so high that you're making?
I think what really led for us to keep doubling is the niche that we were in. We're in a niche that we're a one-stop shop.
Yeah,
that's where we provide a specific service to these multifamily units that not only just good service, but in a timely manner. And yeah, as you know, time is money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, and it just happened to be, it was just been, we've been blessed, man. We've been blessed.
Yeah.
You could say it's being at the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
You could say that because it was right during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that during that time, rent started skyrocketing. Everybody now in Miami, I'm not sure about here in California, but in Miami, there's apartment complex everywhere in every corner.
Mm-hmm.
Every corner, man.
Yeah.
So we've been very blessed in that sense.
Yeah, timing is very important, and it seems like you got the right timing. Now, for your business, what is the next step for you right now?
The next step for the business is to keep growing, keep expanding, trying to take over Florida, and we'll see what goes from there. If we end up either exiting or, you know, could be a franchise or could be going to other states. Keep growing the business, giving more people opportunities to grow within the company.
Awesome. And tell me something you never shared before, like something that nobody knows about you. Maybe your wife doesn't even know.
No, she knows everything, man. She knows everything.
Like something you never talked about before. It could be about personal. It could be about your business.
Personal. Well, we will get personal, man. The real motive behind all this, like I told you, like I said in the podcast, I lost my mom a year ago.
Yeah.
My mom came from Cuba, worked at a factory for 35 years, and she had a brain.
Were you very close to your mom?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, to my mom and to my dad, but very close. Me and my brother. So she had a brain aneurysm. I had no idea what a brain aneurysm was. I had no idea what that was.
Did you tell me this story before or no?
No.
Somebody else told me a story similar to this. Yeah, it was one of my other. I have another person that I mentor, and he charters private jets, and his COO passed away because of the same reason. And I have a client that also his son passed away.
So these are all males. It's more common in women than in male.
Really?
Yeah, and female. So
two males. This was two males.
And my grandma, her mom, passed away from the same thing.
Yeah.
So it might be something hereditary.
So brother, to close out, if you don't mind, share this story because I think it'll help a lot of people. I think it's very powerful how you used it instead of. I'm sure it was painful, but instead of pain, you used it as motivation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you used it as motivation because you know that your mom would want you to win big.
100%. My mom in the beginning didn't think that I was going to become successful because I didn't go to school.
Yeah.
And I promised her, I bet her that by the age of 25, I was going to be making over 100 grand a year, and I made it, at the age of 20. And I think if she was here today, she'd be very, very happy of the person that I've become and what I've built, and be able to help everybody that I'm helping out. So in other words, to cut it short, Albert, life is too short.
Yeah.
I think your parents are still alive.
Yeah, my dad's 75. My mom's 73.
So my mom got sick. This stuff happened at 57 years old. She still had a lot of life in her. And working at a factory for 35 years and no vacation, just supporting me and my brother. No vacation at all. We the only vacation we had was when my brother turned 9, went to Orlando, to Disney. That's it.
Yeah.
So I told myself, you know what? There's more to this. Why am I going to be living scared, not taking any risk? Fuck that, man. We only live here one time. And when you see, your mom take her last breath, dude, and you know that you're never going to see that person ever again, it just changed. It triggers something in me. I said, you know what? I just got to go full on.
Yeah.
Full on, man. And that's it. And fuck what everybody thinks, bro.
Yeah.
Fuck what everybody thinks.
When she passed away, what was your
I was already in business. But
it was a year ago, you said.
My mom passed away a year ago, but she landed in she was bedridden because she survived the aneurysm. There's a very small percentage of people that survive. They basically cut open your skull and they had to clip the vein in the brain. So she had no skull for quite some time. Dude, to see your mom go through all this and the fighter that she was able to live that for 5 years, bedridden, unable to move because it paralyzed her. Her speech was impacted, so you could hardly understand what she was saying, but she understand everything you would say. And
So that happened like 6 years ago, and then a year ago.
That happened
she passed.
July 2016. June 27, 2016.
So how would you communicate with her?
I would talk to her.
And
I would talk to her. She would understand, but she would respond back in her own little language. And with time, we were able to kind of understand what she was saying. And we would ask questions, and she would say yes or no. It's very impactful, man. And when you experience that, dude, I'm telling you, fuck whatever you think, whatever you want to do in life, just do it. But we're here today, man. We're here today. Tomorrow's never promised. Tomorrow's never promised. If you want to go out and start that business, go ahead and start that business. If you want to go ahead and join his mastermind and you don't have the money, swipe the damn credit card. That's I've been telling you, I've been preaching that in your life. Swipe the credit card. If you really want to change, just do it, man.
Yeah.
Have the balls and just do it.
Yeah.
You know? Because tomorrow's never promised.
Right.
And it's very, just to know the possibilities of what you can become.
Yeah.
If you just try.
Yeah.
It's priceless. It's endless.
Yeah. And so like one quick thing here. When a year ago, when the day that she officially passed, how long did it take you to recover from it? Did you go to work the next day? Did you take a little bit of time off? How was that? And what happened after that?
In my eyes, my mom passed away the day of the accident because my mom was bedridden. You know, and I've worked ever since. So the day that I was able to go to the funeral and bury her, I was working. I didn't even take no days off. I didn't take no days off because I still had to run a business. I had 100 and something people depending on me. Mm-hmm. I can't say, oh, I'm sorry. There's time that you have to, you know, separate things, you know. And there's a lot of things I keep within myself that I don't express to my family or to my wife.
Yeah.
I just keep it within myself.
Because you're the CEO, you're the boss.
Yeah.
And you gotta
show.
Your job as a CEO is to not show weakness or fear, because then you make people under you fearful.
Correct.
And weak.
Correct.
So your business, it generated more or less how much this last 12 months or this?
Last year we were close to $5 million.
And this year you'll do how much?
Well, the goal is 10 million. Keep doubling.
Yeah.
Keep doubling.
Yeah. That's pretty big. That's very big.
We're trying to, man. We're trying to. That's why putting processes in place, systems in place, that's the goal. Yeah. That's the goal. Yeah. Having a good CRM.
We'll do a lot of that tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Everything. And if people want to reach out to you, if people want to, maybe they want to join your company, maybe they want to, I don't know, maybe, who knows, get mentorship from you in the future or whatever, be on your podcast, where is the best place to find you?
The best place to find me is on Instagram. It's at Sam Guzman Jr. Jr. For if you want to apply at the business, or if you want us to provide service to your business, if you own a multifamily unit and you want a one-stop shop, you could go to attheworks.cleaning. If you want to be employed by the business as well, you could go to www.theworkscleaning.com. There's a section there that you could apply as well.
Awesome. And then I'll introduce you to Bobby Castro.
Awesome, man.
Awesome. Well, brother, thank you so much, man.
Albert, thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the time, guys.